Note to self, never be a tragic figure in a Shakespeare play. This is a tragedy, and everyone dies, except the people you wish would die. Well, that escalated quickly. Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. Today we will be discussing Shakespeare again. Today specifically we will be discussing Shakespeare's tragedies. This is part 3 in my Shakespeare series. If you would like to watch my videos on Shakespeare's comedies and his histories, you can click up here, or you can check the links down below. So, let's first go over what exactly a tragedy entails. I had to do a little bit of digging because, we assume that it's sad, but I wanted to do a little bit more digging into why is this a sad story. And according to the Britannica Encyclopedia, a tragedy is when our hero encounters or causes a sorrowful event. The subjects are then treated with a serious and dignified manner. While these plays do have elements of humor to them, they're not a laughing matter. They're supposed to make us think about human relationships and the human existence and just kind of the consequences of our actions. Shakespeare wrote about 10 tragedies, and to my surprise, out of all of the lists of Shakespeare's plays, this is the list that I was most familiar with. So I was acquainted with about a third of the plays on this list. So out of all of Shakespeare's plays, I'm most familiar with his tragedies, which I think says an interesting amount about my schooling, that we studied mostly Shakespeare's tragedies. I think that's interesting. I'd also like to just give a general trigger warning for suicidal ideation right up front for just about all of these plays. Tragedies, especially during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance era, mostly involved people ending their own lives. If that's not a subject you want to handle today, check up here for another one of my videos. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we have Antony and Cleopatra. This play feels a lot like a history or one of Shakespeare's history retellings. The big difference here is that the things that Shakespeare is saying happened are not actually true to historical fact, and Shakespeare knew that at the time that he was writing it. He loosely based this play on a book translated by Thomas North in 1579. This follows Antony, who is one of the 3 rulers of the Roman Empire at this time. While Antony is married, he spends most of his time living extravagantly with Queen Cleopatra VII. When Antony's power is threatened by Octavius Caesar, who I think is the nephew of Julius Caesar, Antony and Cleopatra decide to put together an army to go march on Rome. Octavius Caesar does not like this plan, puts together his own army, and brutally stomps on the Egyptian powerhouse and takes over Egypt, and it's now under Roman control. This is a tragedy, and everyone dies except the people you wish would die. Which I think is usually how the tragedies go. Next, we have Coriolanus. This follows Coriolanus, who is a war hero. He's a soldier who's returned from battle. He comes back, and the Senate loves what he's done for politics. They decide to vote for him to be the consul of Rome, which is the highest elected position, and I think it would be equivalent to a president in the United States, but I'm not positive. Anyway, they elect him, and he needs to be voted on by the common public people, and they refuse to vote for him. They think he's a jerk, and he kind of rightly proves them correct, because when they refuse to vote for him, he goes back to his enemies who he's spent all this time fighting and says, "Hey, I hate Rome. You also hate Rome. Let's go kill them." And so then he brings an army to march on Rome. When thinking of the plotline for this, I think of the meme that says, "Well, that escalated quickly." This seems very dramatic, and I don't know whether Coriolanus at the end feels remorse for that action, or if he conquers Rome. I'm not really sure where this ends. It just seems a little extreme but I don't know. I guess if your whole nation had said, "We think you suck," I would probably be kind of mad too. Next, we have Hamlet, which I have read and studied in college. This story follows Hamlet, who is a prince, and a ghost appears to him and says, "Yo, I'm your father. Your uncle, my brother, killed me, and you should kill him." Hamlet hears this, feels a great sense of urgency to try and avenge his father, but he also is trying to figure out, Is this really my father? Is this ghost right? Did my uncle really kill my father? How do I prove that? And if it's true, can I really kill my uncle? And Hamlet really struggles with the idea of avenging his father and trying to kill someone. People take sides on whether they believe Hamlet or not, and everyone dies in this play, I think. Man, I didn't study it closely enough because I don't remember if everyone dies or if some people make it out. I mean, it's a tragedy, so we know that the people that we care about probably die. Next, we have King Lear. Also, this is like really sad because it's all the tragedies, so sorry about that. But we have King Lear. He is an aging king, and he has decided that he's going to split his kingdom between his 3 daughters. He gathers everybody together. He asks his daughters to explain to him why they love him, and just kind of prove their love to him. And his 2 oldest daughters, they just schmooze, kiss up. They spend a lot of time talking about how amazing he is, and his youngest daughter, Cornelia, just says, there are no words that I can use to express how much I love you, and he gets really angry and banishes her and splits the kingdom in half between his 2 oldest daughters. And then he is astonished when his 2 oldest daughters turn out to be crappy daughters, and they try to kill him once he's relinquished his power. And he slowly goes crazy, and he wanders around homeless trying to avoid being killed. This is definitely a tragedy. I have read this on my own, but I know that I missed a lot of the important parts because I don't remember how it ends. Although I'm sure it ends with King Lear dying. Note to self, never be a tragic figure in a Shakespeare play. Next we have Macbeth. I have read this one. I've read this one twice because I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. This follows Macbeth, who was an actual real figure in history, but nothing like Shakespeare's highly dramatized account of him. Macbeth is riding back from battle, and he runs into 3 witches who promise him that he will become the king of Scots. He doesn't believe them, but then some of the things that they start to say come true, and he goes, well, dang, I'm supposed to be king. Well, I'm going to just make this easier on myself, and I'll kill everybody up to the top. So then he kills everyone and becomes king, and then realizes that he's got to maintain that power and becomes really uber paranoid about it. Next, we have Othello. Othello takes place in the city of Venice, and coincidentally enough, we follow the main character also named Othello. Othello is a general in the military, and he has also recently married his wife, Desdemona. Unfortunately, him marrying Desdemona means Iago cannot marry Desdemona, and Iago has an axe to grind with Othello because Othello needed to promote an officer, and he picked somebody with less experience than Iago, and Iago is really mad about it, so he decides to get revenge. He frames Desdemona as cheating on Othello, and then proves it to him, and Othello is so angry and so full of rage that he kills his wife, and then when it's revealed to him that Desdemona was actually not cheating on him, he kills himself. So definitely trigger warnings for suicide for that. This story I think will be really interesting because in order for you to be so angry that someone is cheating on you that you kill them, you have to have a level of loss of humanity, I think, because that's kind of a really possessive love. And I don't know, I'm interested to see where that goes, but also a little bit afraid because I feel like Othello is going to be a character that I may not really like all that much just because of that possessive love element. So I guess we'll find out. Romeo and Juliet. You probably have all heard of this one. I actually started this one in high school, and my greatest relief was in not being picked to be Juliet. I don't remember who I read the lines for, but I was not Juliet, and I just remember being like, thank heavens. Thank heavens. This follows 2 teenagers from rival families in the city of... Gosh dang it, I don't even remember what city it is. City. This special city right here. Special. Anyway, these 2 teens fall in love and get married despite the fact that their families have a brutal war going on between each other, and that does not end well for them. Spoilers, I guess, if you haven't already had Romeo and Juliet spoiled for you. I've read this play a couple times. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to study it anyway. Maybe I will come to like this play. Mostly, I just struggle with the fact that there are 2 teenagers who fall in love and then dramatically decide to get married. But that was more common, I think, in Shakespeare's time than it is mine. So maybe part of it is just that I look at it and I go, that's not very realistic, which is kind of maybe a stupid objection. But I'm making it anyway. Next we have Timon of Athens. Timon is a very wealthy. He's a very wealthy man living in Athens, and he likes to share his money with all of his friends. He gives it out freely, pays off loans, and his friends are like, yo, like, you're gonna run out of money. And then he runs out of money, and he goes back to people, and he's like, hey, like, I need to eat, I need to pay for my house. And the people he thought were his friends were like, gee, awkward, I don't really want to share my money with you, so peace. And he's destitute and left alone. So he goes out into the woods outside of Athens to live his life in a cave, and in the cave, lo and behold, he finds a bunch of gold. And instead of going back to the life that he did live, he goes to the enemies of Athens and pays them in gold to send an army to attack Athens. I mean, I feel like these people have a lot of access to armies who are just lined up to go and like attack other cities. I have never had the opportunity to find a neighboring army and be like, yo, you should go take that person down. Like, take that whole city down. That's so far removed from me that it sounds ridiculous, but I know that there was a time when there were armies that would just go and attack city-states, and you could just be like, yo, I can give you the key to the city. We'll see how that ends for Timon. Probably not well. Next we have Titus Andronicus. This is a very grisly play. If you don't like gore, this is not the play for you. This one I might pass on. We'll see. So this follows a Roman general, Titus, who returns back from battle to the emperor with 4 prisoners who will vow revenge on him for killing their family. The prisoners kill and rape the Roman general's children, and Titus gets revenge by killing the children, cooking them in a pie, and then serving them to the mother before killing the mother. This whole thing enrages the Roman emperor, who kills Titus, and then Titus's one remaining son is super angry about the fact that his father's been killed, so he kills the emperor. Special warnings for this one especially. Rape, mutilation, murder, cannibalism. Surprisingly enough, I don't think suicide is one of the trigger warnings for this one. But I haven't read it, so I can't promise it. This sounds highly, highly disturbing. And I, in some of my research, found that people even in Shakespeare's time looked at this and were like, bro, this is really violent. And it didn't get a super good reception because of the amount of violence in it. So I'm curious to know what Shakespeare was going for. Like, why did he make this so bloody? I kind of want to get into his head a little bit and see what was going on here. But then on the other hand, I don't necessarily want to be reading and studying deeply on these subjects. So we'll see. I might read all of Shakespeare's play with the exception of this one. And lastly, we have Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was an emperor of Rome. This is actually, I think this is not as dramatized as it could be, but it's definitely dramatized enough that it's listed as a tragedy and not a history, typically. But this follows Julius Caesar and his best friend Brutus. And Brutus is starting to notice that Julius Caesar is starting to become really tyrannical, and it's starting to impact his family and the city. And Brutus feels a deep urge to try and convince Julius that he is going down the wrong path, and he can't convince him, and he feels that the only thing that he can do to save his country is to kill his best friend. So the psychological aspects of that I think would be super interesting. Basically, you could sum this plot up as Julius Caesar, stabby, no Julius Caesar. So our good buddy Mark Antony from our beginning play, he makes several appearances in here too. And I think chronologically this Julius Caesar comes before Mark Antony, but you can read them in whatever order you feel like. I know that this is Julius Caesar had a big enough impact on Western history that we still talk about the Ides of March. Like, we know the day that Caesar was killed. And it's kind of a joke, kind of taboo. It's a weird mix of pop culture, I guess I want to say. So I'm interested to dig into what Shakespeare thought about it, and I should probably do some actual real research on what actually happened and then compare it with this, because I think that would probably be really interesting. Okay, well, that was a little bit of a downer. Definitely will not be reading through all of these plays all at once, because the Danas. I'll probably toss a few comedies in. I hope you've enjoyed learning about these subjects. They're not great lovey-dovey, happy-feeling, hippy-dippy, I think is hippy-dippy, that's the term I want. They're not hippy-dippy, love-promoting subjects, but they will make me think, and Shakespeare's comedies already make me think a lot, so I am excited for the idea that the tragedies will make me think even more, even though I don't know that I want that, but I do. There you go. That's the end. Okay. I will see you all in the comments down below and in another video. Bye!